This lesson we're actually going to just move the click event, because I don't want the click event on the button actually. It will work. When I click this, it will work. Let me just try and show you right here that it actually works. So going down to the login here, I'm going to do a console log like this, console log, and let's just type button clicked, or no, let me actually say login clicked like this, something like that, so we can see it's the login that we're actually trying to call right here. Jumping back to my code, when I start clicking this guy, you'll see that it's actually being login click, tuck, 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 so it works perfectly. But normally what we do when we're talking forms is actually we're using a submit up here. Now that's just basic work with the form that we are using a submit instead of actually doing a click event down here. Now that pretty much means that normally that's where we would do validation of the fields and stuff like that, and we want to do the same thing for our code right here. So instead of using the click event down there, we're going to add an ng submit up here, right? So now we've just prepared for when we need validation later on, and it's the same idea. We are just going to call the login function here. There we go. Now what we also need to do is kind of explain which button down here is actually the submit button, and this button is when I click this guy, I want it to actually be equal submit. There we go. That's all I had to do. Now when I click the button, I'm still going to hit the login, but we'll start making some extra validations and stuff like that behind the scenes that we can start working with later on. Let's just make sure it still works. It does. Sweet. Now let's actually also this lesson add some more functionality, because when I click the login, I of course want to kind of log in. Well, duh. So I'm going to move that down here. There we go. So now when I click the login, I'm actually going to call the login function. Let me just try and log out right here. Now I'm logged out. Let me try and press the login. Now I'm logged in. Logging out, right? And logging in. There we go. So that works. But next step is, of course, I want to start using these two fields to actually decide if I can log in or not. And that's the last thing we kind of need to learn about these modules, is how we get, form groups, is how we can now get the actual information back from the fields, right? We can actually do that very simple. We'll just make a constant right here, and we'll just call it login value, or no, let's call it login model like this. And that's going to actually just be equal to this login.values. It's that simple. There we go. So now this guy is actually just a set of values that's inside each field right here. And then we can use those values now just by saying login model.email, right? Not email, but email. There we go. Now this name, of course, needs to match this name right here. Okay, now we'll do the second one down here, login model.password. There we go. So now we've kind of set up the login model. Why are you complaining? So it seems we're getting an error here. Yeah, it's not values, it's values. Sorry about that. So here we have the value, and this is the login model, and now everything seems to be running. Let's just try and see if this actually works now. Jumping back to the code, and let's just try and log out and log in with this gibberish right here, and we're getting an exception. The email address is badly formatted. Okay, let's try and change that. So we'll do an email that actually works as an email. And we'll just make our password 126, and we'll try to log in now. And we're logged in. Sweet. Let's just try and log out. Now let's try and put in a number in here and just try and log in again. And we'll get another. There's no user record corresponding to this identifier. The user must have been deleted. And we'll just try another error again here. Let's just put in a wrong password. And again, the password is invalid, or the user does not have a password. Sweet. We're actually up and running with some real functionality just by actually setting up this form now. And there's a lot more to do with reactive forms, so you can figure that out later if you want to play around with it. But for now, let's just end this lesson, and let's next lesson just actually add the UI. I know I promised the UI for this lesson, but I wanted the functionality in there first. See you next time. Have fun.